St. Lucians watching abroad, as well as residents here in St. Lucia. Thank you so much for tuning in. This morning we are back in the Honorable House, myself, Jessie Leonce, and my colleague Carlton Cyril, for today, Thursday, the 4th of June, for the Senate sittings. We're continuing with parliamentary proceedings for the week, with Senate sittings to debate the following motions down for consideration, and that includes three loans. That is the Millennium Highway West Coast Reconstruction Project, St. Lucia's part in St. Lucia's commitment to this project, funding this project, as well as the Caribbean Regional Communications Program and the Human Capital Resilience Project. Also down for discussion this morning in the Upper House is the VAT order, that is the rate of tax on goods and services that are provided by hotels and other providers within the tourism accommodation services sector, and also the extension for the period of the barrel concessions, and also there are also some bills to be considered, papers to be laid, and they include the Labour Amendment Bill. We have some important information in terms of the bills for consideration this morning coming right up. In the meantime, I welcome you and welcome Carlton to join me right now for today.
Thanks so much, Jessie. Encore nous avons dit bonjour et merci. Aujourd'hui, c'est jeudi, le 4 juin. Parmi l'autre bagaille vous savez, nous avons mené rapport nous ici à Hod Kai Concept. Là, si vous suivre nous, vous pouvez échanger. Nous tenons rapport ça mardi. Et puis, ça c'est les membres cabinet du Parlement joignent. Quand la coutume, après, ils fait discussion, ils ont pour voir le Sénat. Quand nous menons rapport ça à Sénat ici à Kai Concept, parmi l'autre bagaille, nous avons discuté les vini pour ces décisions qui Japon, les vini pour permission pour prêter l'argent pour projet et chimie millénaire. Et puis, parmi l'autre bagaille, pour qu'ils savent là un projet là venu pour résilience et puis là venu pour activité sociale pour développer ça parmi l'autre bagaille concessions associées baouya ou qu'il une discussion en laisse ça aussi ou qu'ils savent parmi l'autre bagaille l'école déjà ouvert pour ces mamans. C'est ma là qui a fait common entrance EPCXC et puis nous avons parmi et tout ça nous avons information développement ici à bon matin à sous en GD. Pour ces gens Facebook nous avons dit bonjour, pour ces gens qui l'autre pays bonjour et vous écoutez nous à sous radio ici pour moi Jessie Kabao information développement et comme bien dit headquarters Covid là mais nous avons apporté en Kai Concept bon matin.
Okay, thank you very much for that. As Carlton rightly mentioned, we do have the resumption of in-class instruction this week, and that is for grade 6 and Form 5 students in St. Lucia. That is in preparation for the national examinations, the common entrance examinations, and the CXC. Also, today we will be reopening our borders here in St. Lucia and resuming air travel. The two airports, the Urinor International Airport and the George F. L. Charles Airport, are reopened today for the facilitation of air travel to St. Lucia. We do hope during this time that you continue to be very mindful of the very cautious situation that we're now in. We are still on alert for COVID-19. The threat of this virus still looms over St. Lucia, despite the many strides that we have made in containing and managing its spread here on the island. And we have been hearing from the CMO, the health authorities, that we need to be prepared to learn to live with COVID-19, hence the reopening, the phased reopening of our economy, us beginning to recover from the very debilitating impact of COVID-19 earlier on in the year. And Carlton, just to note, many persons are going about their business today. Some may have some trepidation with regard to, how will this air travel and the tourists coming to St. Lucia pan out. Of course, this has been discussed extensively, right, especially up to last the panel discussion that was held live on NTN, Roadmap to Recovery, the resumption of tourism activity, and the reopening of our borders this week. We do hope that even more so, you continue to adhere to the protocols. Be mindful. We are still under a state of emergency and will continue to be until the 30th of September. This morning, I just want to get into an important notice that we have, and it relates to the parliamentary proceedings for today. In the House of Assembly on Tuesday, the bills for consideration were the St. Lucia Tourism Authority Amendment Bill, the Tourism Levy, and the Labor Amendment. We just want to inform you that the St. Lucia Tourism Authority Amendment Bill and Tourism Levy have been pulled from the order paper, and as a result, it will not be forwarded in the upper house this morning. I just want to read a statement from the Office of the Prime Minister's Facebook page, and it is titled, "Government Listens to Concerns About the Tourism Levy Bill." After careful consideration, our government has determined that some sections of the Tourism Levy Bill may seem ambiguous, thus giving rise to a certain level of misunderstanding and misinterpretation. Our government is not insensitive to some legitimate concerns that have been expressed in this regard. This act was always intended to help our small tourism-related businesses and is important to an important piece of legislation to be misunderstood. This legislation is intended to complement what we are doing with village tourism, the marketing of our brand, and other destination enhancement programs to further incorporate and provide benefits to small and medium-sized tourism and hospitality businesses. Notwithstanding that this policy initiative has been extensively discussed for the last 3 years, we want to make sure that there is clarity in the intent and language of the legislation. Hence, we have decided to remove it off the order paper for the Senate at this time to allow for the opportunity for further review. Our small tourism businesses are a very important sector, and it is therefore equally important to us and them that we get it right, that the legislation meets its objectives and ensures that the bill is a true representation and reflection of the government's policy intentions. So that is the word coming from the Office of the Prime Minister. We did see the tabling of the St. Lucia Tourism Authority Amendment Bill and a Tourism Levy Bill being down for consideration during the House of Assembly earlier this week. However, at this point, it has been pulled from the order paper and will not be down for consideration or debated in the Honorable House for the Senate sitting this morning.
Merci tellement, Jesse. Quand nous continuons avec l'information et le développement qui a point coup, vous pouvez savoir parmi les discussions qui a point coup ici en Sénat, yon ou pas qu'attendre, c'est l'evini pour Bill Tourism Levy Bill. Bill ça, là vous avez information sur page Facebook gouvernement Simplici, qui a dit l'evini pour Bill ça, yo hâtié à son agenda pour bon matin. Et raison c'est yo ka quoi yo besoin vier examiner faire adjustment et puis avec attention yo c'est pour faire assurer yo tan et comprendre ça public là et ça monde ni pour dire à sous bill ça pour raison ça les discussions kay prend bon matin ou pas kay tan rien pour faire puis ça qu'on yo ka vier considérer et encore l'ouvrir à sous page Facebook gouvernement ou kay yo ba explanation là parmi bagay yo ka dit ça c'est un secteur qui est bien important et que il y a à peu près 3 années yo ka discuter et que quoi bien important by gouvernement pour joindre ça yo ka faire et faire bien pour raison ça yo dit yo voulait un objectif là qui c'est pour faire assurer et bilan ka représenter ça yo voulait faire pour trouver qu'on informer encore les vini pour discussion sur bill tourism bill levia nous pas kay ça ka discuter aujourd'hui. Merci tellement que nous ka ou même ça prend temps pour examiner à sur page Facebook premier ministre là à sur Facebook vous avez plus d'informations en laisse. Nous allons continuer avec l'information et le développement à son jeudi bon matin, hot kai concept.
Yes, continuing from Tuesday's parliamentary proceedings, the House of Assembly, the following motions down for consideration include the authorizing the Minister of Finance to borrow an amount not exceeding the equivalent of $7.945 million from the Caribbean Development Bank's ordinary capital resources to finance the Millennium Highway and West Coast Reconstruction Project. And of course, this initiative has been talked about and highly anticipated. I know on Tuesday they were talking about the roller coaster experience one would have on the Millennium Highway. And you know, there's the deplorable conditions that we've seen the West Coast Road coming into. And we just want to let you know that in addition to this venture, we're seeing the government of St. Lucia fulfilling its own commitment to the initiative, this reconstruction project being in the form of 15%. I believe the total cost of this this project, because it's quite extensive to reconstruct the Millennium Highway and West Coast Reconstruction Initiative, it's to the tune of $99.2 million. Right. And St. Lucia, this is not just, this loan that we're seeing is not to fund it entirely, it is just to fund it in part. Yes, and also running alongside this is the donation from the government of Japan. St. Lucia is set to benefit from road improvement works being funded by the government of Japan. The cul-de-sac bridge reconstruction project, earmarked to begin later this month, is designed to build a climate resilience in St. Lucia's infrastructure. The project includes a road realignment work, expansion of the existing bridge, and construction of a proposed roundabout. Anicia Antoine has a report on this cul-de-sac project.
The government of Japan, through the Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, will be reconstructing the cul-de-sac bridge located on the west coast. At the convening of Parliament on Tuesday, June 2nd, 2020, the Minister for Infrastructure, Ports, Energy and Labour, Honourable Stevenson King, explained that the project is designed to deal with the current flooding issues in the cul-de-sac basin and will be supervised by engineers from the Department of Infrastructure. Plans for the reconstruction will include creating a higher elevation and a wider span to reduce bridge closures due to flooding, and is expected to strengthen socio-economic development.
What the Japanese are going to do in cul-de-sac, Mr. Speaker, is just not to put two I-beams across the river and put slabs on it and say we have a bridge and say it costs $42 million. It's much more than this. The studies which had to be done, Mr. Speaker, to determine the hydrology of the river, in terms of the flow and all of this thing, Mr. Speaker, because it's not water running down a hill, it's water settling in a floodplain. And it is likely, if the hydrology, Mr. Speaker, isn't adequate, you are likely to have much more rapid flooding than ever before. The Japanese were the ones, Mr. Speaker, who undertook all of the feasibilities, design, finance, engineering, you name it, all of the feasibilities, costing. Speaker, we will merely the recipients of donor funds.
The Minister for Infrastructure explained that one of the most critical activities being undertaken by JICA is the river retraining.
The problem with the cul-de-sac basin, Mr. Speaker, is the fact that because the river is meandering, what you do have happening is a situation as you'd find in countries where you have, like Holland, where you have those floodplains and dikes build, not dikes, Mr. Speaker, but the floodplains build up and deltas emerge, and it creates a problem, and it continues. In our case, we do have the meandering, but the meandering causes flows on either side of the river, causing flooding in both directions. So what will happen, Mr. Speaker? The river will be retrained, there will be booms established, and a system that will allow for an elimination of the overflow of the banks to be able to keep the rivers, the basin or the cul-de-sac basin free of flooding.
The cost of the reconstruction of the cul-de-sac bridge is estimated at $42 million. The project is scheduled to commence in June 2020 for a duration of 24 months. From the Government Information Service, I am Anicia Antoine reporting.
Anicia for that information on the cul-de-sac bridge reconstruction to be funded in full by the Japan government. We want to continue with the news of the opening of our borders, the reopening of our borders today, effective June 4th. We have our airports have been reopened so far for today, and air travel is now possible. Effective June 4th, 2020, St. Lucia opens its borders to regional and international countries. The policy includes that travelers present a negative COVID-19 test and undergo a mandatory quarantine at a government institution. That's institutional quarantining. The Ministries of Health and Tourism will continue working together with stakeholders to coordinate this new phase of the national response to COVID-19. In addition, the Ministries of External Affairs and Tourism continue to coordinate the repatriation of nationals, which include cruise workers, students, and other nationals currently seeking to return to St. Lucia. Once again, we have Anicia Antoine speaking on the reopening of our borders this week.
St. Lucia will reopen its borders to regional and international countries as of June 4th, 2020. Travelers will be obligated to undergo a COVID-19 test, airport screening, and mandatory quarantine at a government institution. Donaldin Vitae, Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Tourism, Information and Broadcasting, Culture and Creative Industries, noted that the protocols adopted in St. Lucia have created a blueprint for other Caribbean islands that will also be opening in June.
And for us in St. Lucia, what you have seen is now the development of protocols for the airport, the development of protocols for accommodation service, for ride and share and taxi, and in train is the development of protocols for the water-based sector. So for us now, it was to critically assess the visitor journey and see what happens from the thought pattern or process of deciding to come to our gem and landing in St. Lucia, spending time and then leave. And so in looking at that path and that journey, it was to see what sort of footprint we could leave and what sort of impact we could leave with the travel agent, the tour operators who would have that level of communication with the visitor in knowing what to expect, to let them know of the responsible way that St. Lucia would like to open, to get in preparations to go in on the plane with that negative COVID test, and what the expectations at host airport is until you get in country.
With the quarantine regulations currently placed on St. Lucia's major tourism source markets, including Canada and the United Kingdom, St. Lucia, in the first instance, will be welcoming flights from the United States via Delta, JetBlue, and American Airlines. Amy Charles, Manager of Air Traffic Services at the St. Lucia Air and Seaports Authority, noted that protocols and guidelines have been put in place to ensure the safety of the frontline staff at the ports.
They have to feel it's a sense of safety, and then for the country to feel safe, because they are the frontline staff that have to face those persons. So, and then you want them to welcome those persons in comfortably, making the persons comfortable and they themselves being comfortable. So, of course, we realize, okay, how do we take care of those staff? And so as a result, SLASPA realized that they had to install sneeze guards, which we have already almost completed 100%. It'll be ready for the 4th. We also realized that the staff will have to be wearing masks. There'll be certain staff will have to wear maybe more PPE, more protective gear, because they will become closer into contact. Some staff may have to wear face shields as well. So we put all that on board, knowing through the guidance of Mr. Ragnanan and his team what exactly was required.
The Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Tourism explained that in the first phase, visitors will only have access to critical services, which include transportation from the airport, a place to stay, and limited water-based recreational activity, also known as coastline tours.
We understand the need for everybody to regain earning a living, and we're very sensitive to that. But at the same time, for us, we need to be able to balance that level of livelihood with the health and safety. And so we're asking for the cooperation of all service providers within the tourism industry. We're asking for the cooperation of the public and persons who are also employees of these service providers. Let us take it on a step-by-step, phased approach. Let us build confidence. Let us do it responsibly. And if we all rally around each other and we're able to do so sufficiently well, then we could move to adding additional services until we might be at that place where we started before.
Ms. Vitae, discussion on the repatriation of nationals is currently ongoing. However, nationals wishing to return home are advised to contact the Ministry of Health and Wellness. From the Government Information Service, I am Anicia Antoine reporting.
Now, in anticipation of the reopening of the tourism sector as of today, as well as the reopening of our borders, the Ministry of Health and Wellness has a range of protocols, has put in place a range of protocols at the hotel and tourism sector to mitigate any potential risk of COVID-19. The Ministry of Health requests that all individuals adhere to infection prevention and control guidelines, including the practicing of the recommended 6-foot physical distance and the wearing of the mask while in public. Carlton, I think if ever a time we were supposed to just adhere to the protocols, it's especially as we're reopening our borders. And God forbid, we do have more imported cases, but we need to stand ready, you know, and prepared to fight it.
And definitely, Jesse, as we discuss the border reopening, and we will see, of course, moving into phase 4, right now it has one that has generated a lot of discussion, and the question keeps coming up. If we have 100% recovery, and if we are seeing our testing all coming negative, then why are we opening? And just like you said, Jesse, we will remember or recall from the CMO's office, we keep hearing the protocols have to be followed. We have to continue with the mask. We have to continue with the sanitizing of the hands. We have to continue practicing the social distance. And of course, importance of what works alongside with that, Jesse, a lot of us probably overlook it. Any signs of being ill or showing any symptoms of the
respiratory illness.
Persons are asked to refer to the clinics, and we are still saying if you do not have any reason to be out in public, don't. And again, the reason for all of that, the reasons given for all of that, even our curfew, the reasons that have been given is simply because, Jesse, when it relates to that, we are now opening, we are now putting ourselves in preparation for full service. You know, we are moving in that direction, of course, with international travel and the airport. So we are saying it still deems on everybody to say we need to follow protocol. That doesn't mean we will not have a case. And if we do have a case, that is the whole idea of putting things in place to oversee or overlook what is going on, definitely. So as we see the reopening of our borders, of course, a call goes out to citizens, to the citizenry. It goes out, and one of the points I like while we're on the subject is that, Jesse, let's start with ourselves. Let's start with you knowing you have your mask, you following the protocols, because we are saying opening of borders, we know what that comes with, the risk that is with it. And of course, we are still saying COVID, there's no cure for COVID, there's no vaccine, but you could always do what you can for yourself, starting with yourself.
Absolutely. I just want to go into, you know, the Operations Command Center when they presented the framework to reopen St. Lucia Society, the assessment from the Operations Command Center. And I'm looking at phase 4, I'm moving forward, some of the goals that they had set to achieve as they entered phase 4, our recovery phase, sort of. And I see large stimulation of private sector and the economy. And we're seeing some of that so far. We're seeing the surge in construction projects that are coming on stream. We did hear from the Honorable Prime Minister, Alan Chasney, that hopefully the Millennium Highway and West Coast reconstruction project can commence as soon as possible. Also capitalizing on the fact that schools in the normal way are closed, and also you don't have as much tourism activity. You know, that highway is bustling for tourism activity in terms of land, sea tours and what have you. And so capitalizing on this time to be able to stimulate the private sector, stimulate the economy in ways in which the tourism sector would have traditionally done and usually done. We know tourism is our lifeline. However, we've seen through the medium-term development strategy, you know, the reworking and the very, you know, the foresight of the administration in being able to reapply and reassign projects in order to buoy St. Lucia's economy as it begins to recover from this COVID-19 situation.
And definitely, Jesse, and it speaks to the fact that while the goal aims or seeks to stimulate the economy, we are saying this is what that has to be done. Everybody's saying, okay, the projects and why the projects. But of course, you would understand with a downfall in tourism, And now we are looking at to reopen our borders, and we are saying, yeah, for ourselves, but how about the international market? We are saying, here's the reason why for stimulating the economy in terms of project-wise. You'll understand the domino effect it could have.
Capital projects.
Yeah, our capital projects. You could understand the domino effects in terms of this cash which we spoke about, the contraction in the economy. So trying among other things to cushion Jesse, that effect. People will now understand exactly why. And I need to say, added to that, the fact that we are saying we have our Cuban, the medical aspect of it. If there's a resurgence, if we have a relapse, all of this falls under the umbrella and the category of, hey, this is why we are opening, this is why phase 4 is going along, this is why. And we should never forget when it comes to the triggers, Jesse, we are saying again, while we are moving forward, we are still looking at the aspect of what would bring us back to a phase 3, what would bring us back to a phase 2. You understand, the triggers are there to let us understand that while the ministry is doing that, while the command center is doing that, they are keeping a close eye on what is happening. And we just need to mention that. So as we see a full opening or moving to phase 4, again, here is the thinking, here is why it's happening. Et pour vous qui peut-être kakachile, discussion pour matin, et qu'on nous a bien dire, ni un chay pour faire, puis qui ça qu'a fait après ça, nous avons un pays qui a ouvert en plein. Ça qui a fait aujourd'hui, il a permis avion pour mener mon touristes, commencer hôtel qui a ouvert, et nous hier l'école ouvert, mais pour ces mamans grade 6, et ces mamans là qui en 5e forme à l'école secondaire, nous tout ça qu'a fait, changer encore, il a fait par phase. Et encore nous avons dit pour qui ça? Nous avons un projet qui a pris pour nous détendre le Premier ministre, le cabinet qui a parlé de l'économie en aide, mettez l'argent en circulation pour un monde ça rien bagaille pour faire. Et nous aussi qui a dit les venir pour santé, si rien ni pour faire, si nous là ni plus monde qui joindre testé positif, nous jani ces gens, ces docteurs cubains ici tout ça qu'on prend en considération, qui ça nous a mis en place, les venir pour ça. Quand la discussion qui continue avec ça, moi je suis parler à celui, les venir pour qui ça nous avons place là ouvert, qui ça qui est en place et qui raison qui est.
Absolutely. Going back to the goals, we've seen that, fairly we have met these goals that have been outlined by the Operations Command Center. I'm seeing ensuring healthcare resilience, building our capacity at the hospitals, specific plan regarding COVID-19 response. And as you rightly mentioned, we have the Cuban medical personnel that are here in St. Lucia, while we have the state of emergency to bolster our healthcare personnel here on island in response to COVID-19. We know that COVID-19 has weighed heavy, our response to it rather has weighed heavy on the healthcare sector in terms of building capacity, not necessarily not being overwhelmed, because we've only had 18 cases so far, and we've done 1,000 tests so far, but not overwhelmed, but building capacity at this time. And we've definitely seen that with the transition to the OKEU hospital and the Victoria Hospital being made a respiratory hospital at this time, reinstating some soft social sectors and the reopening of the tourism sector under strict protocols defined by new licensing regime. And that we have seen beginning today. We're entering phase 4 and we're seeing the resumption of tourism activity, tourism accommodation services, the reopening of our borders, the resumption of air travel here to St. Lucia. The triggers, a lot of persons are querying, as you mentioned, first of all, there's a lot of trepidation with respect to us moving forward, but as the Prime Minister stated, we cannot continue to exist in a bubble. We need to navigate and find our space as soon as possible before other countries do. Find our space in this new normal and state our claim as we try to get used to this post-COVID situation, existence. And some of the triggers that would have us revert to a previous phase where we were dealing with COVID-19 is a deficiency perhaps in health monitoring standards, as well as 30 cases, a cluster increase in cases here on island. So that is the word from the Operations Command Center. Should it see a cluster increase, we have an outbreak of COVID-19, then we will be reverting to previous phases where there were more stringent, more tight restrictions on the population in order to protect it from the spread of COVID-19. So that is important to note, because as we move into these uncharted waters of the post-COVID era, you know, even the continued COVID situation, our COVID scenario right now, we have to try to thrive and as well be prepared for any eventuality that may present itself COVID-wise at this time.
And of course, just to add to what you were saying, Jesse, we'll have to take into consideration the consultation. And when we look at the triggers under the consultation, we would notice here was what they took into consideration. Everyone is practicing public monitoring health standards. Of course, we're speaking of the washing of the hands, the sanitizing, the distance, social distance, the checking at the clinics, among other things. And we are looking at what has happened within a 14-day span. 10 new cases, no new cases. And of course, we would say right now we are, what, 27 plus days, almost a month with no new cases. So we could see that following the goals and following our triggers, what would enable us to go forward, a lot of it has been accomplished. 21-day supply of PPE and testing kits, all of that is in place. When we heard the amount of donations and the PPE that has been available to our frontliners, and whatnot, a sustained decrease in hospitalization, all of that taken into consideration. Encore, ça nous a dit c'est là il vient pour situation nous là qu'on peut bien savoir nous quand même on pour là pour faire Covid pour qui manière bail la marcher on te bien savent pays a tenu pour ouvrir en 5 phases. Nous avons quitté troisième phase là nous entrons en quatrième phase là et raison pour ça c'est parce que yo te han là venu pour commode centre là yo te ha mettre bagay en place pour dire qui ça kay dit nous avons pas oui pour entrer dans l'autre phase. Et phase là nous avons parlé c'est phase 4. Côté nous avons airport ouvert, côté nous avons permis les touristes pour entrer, côté nous avons l'école ouverte. Qui ça qui fait ça fait? Tout le monde qui a fait ça il pour faire. Ça fait laver la main, ça fait chain distance là. Nous avons fait ces bagages ça.
Just to interject here, I did watch the local news last night, and I saw that as school reopened, you saw the kids with their masks in the school. You saw the principal, the administrators, just speaking about how stringent the measures are. And you'd be surprised, how quickly children, students, younger persons can cling on to habits, So if they're in the habit of washing their hands frequently, if they're in the habit of sanitizing, if they're in the habit of wearing their masks, then, it will all go well overall for us, because, kids transfer a lot of germs. They're always touching surfaces and not necessarily always cognizant of their environment. But if you start to instill the habits, from early on, and we do thank all of the parents, all of the guardians who during this time, while the kids were at home, even before the grade 6s and Form 5s, before they came out, were instilling this habitual situation at home, ensuring that they were following procedures, even having to go out, they were wearing their masks and so on, because we really did see that demonstrated in the school. And hats off to the Ministry of Education as well for implementing the measures that were needed to ensure that as school reopened, our kids would be safe at this time. We did see the hand sanitizer, we did see all of these things being provided. We know the Royal St. Lucia Police Force is working with the Ministry of Health and Ministry of Education to ensure that there is adherence and there is enforcement of the protocols to protect our kids as they prepare for the national examinations in the weeks to come. Just to give you some insight as to what is required of parents and guardians, you have to share the health protocols with the kids. You have to ensure that you furnish you are well aware of the contact information of healthcare professionals and the police. Should you have to contact them, or should they have to contact you, should you need to liaise with your kids at school. Access to the school premises outside of the drop-off and pick-up times will not be permitted without the explicit approval of the principal. Parents and guardians of secondary school students should get their child awards a timetable from the school. Parents and guardians are encouraged to liaise closely with their schools. So those are some of the responsibilities of the parents and guardians at this very critical time. The Ministry of Education is proceeding very, very cautiously. We did hear from the Ministry of Health and Wellness that the education sector has been given the all clear to reopen. But out of an abundance of caution, the Ministry of Education is saying no. We will do this on a phased approach and be cautious about it to ensure the health and safety of the student population, as well as look at the human resource aspect, the teachers, the principals, the groundsmen, all of those involved within the education sector. Reopening, a phased approach, and we do hope that you are doing your part in that respect. And teachers as well are expected to report to their respective schools. They were expected to report on Tuesday, the 2nd of June, for final preparations, and we know that school for the grade 6s and Form 5s are now in full swing, and we do all wish you the best as you prepare for the examinations. That was quite an interjection, hein?
Oui, Jesse. Si vous avez ça qui a fait là, nous just voulons dire, bon matin, là, venu pour headquarters Covid là, nous avons pour nous hot concert. Qui ça nous a discuté, parmi l'autre bagaille, nous avons discuté qui ça qui j'ai fait. Changer pays a été supposé ouvert en 5 phases. Nous quittons 3e phase, nous allons en 4e. En 4e, qui ça qui a fait? L'école a ouvert, pays a ouvert en plein, là il venu pour touristes entrer, hôtel a ouvert, c'est côté nous y à présent. Qui manière nous y qu'on nous y a, et congestion a bien dit, après ministre qui est responsable pour santé, après CMO pour office avec cette commande là, ouais, moun ka suivre protocole qui est en place, laver la main, nous moun ka chain distance là, moun ka mettre masse en public, après moun suivre toutes ces bagages ça veut dire nous t'es pas oui, y en a ces bagages qui étaient bien important encore, nous pas personne qui a trouvé qu'on yo testé et puis Covid. Nous n'y a pris presque un mois, 27 pour 28 jours, nous ne pouvons pas pièce ni Covid et bien trouver qu'on a testé positif. Ça c'est un bon signe. Et puis ça nous a qui fait. L'école ouverte et puis c'est maman là vieille l'école. Mais tant de manière l'école là ouvert, il ouvert, vous voyez maman grade 6 et c'est maman secondaire qui en 5e forme yo seulement qui est vieille l'école. Pour qui ça? Yo ni l'examen pour faire CXC et puis common entrance. Bon après ça même bagaille là qu'il fait et puis là il vient pour secteur tourisme là. Pas dit nous ouvert nous ca dit moun ka entrer l'année condition nous ca dit si vous c'est yon qui sorti l'autre pays ou ca repatrier kon yon Saint-Lucien ou ca ni pour faire 14 jours quarantine. Ça veut dire ou quand il pour rester dans quarantaine pour observer et faire assurer ou pas ni événement et ou pas si mal ou j'ai quoi bagaille en place là il vient pour ça et puis en ces hôtels là ou quand il mettre mon département santé hôtel là même ni pour mettre bagaille en place pour faire assurer moun qui ka venir là yo suivre protocole yo été hod yon a l'autre yo tient distance là et juste ces travailleurs radio yo ni pour quitter un hôtel là parce que yo ni pour point transport et puis yo ni pour vieux caillou quand toutes ces bagages sont en place et nous ka dit ça c'est yon ces raisons tout ça qu'a fait mais nous voulons changer raison nous ici en même voie pas dit nous ka ba rapport ça qui ni pour faire puis Covid là c'est nous en caille concept et puis nous ici pour pas dit en Sénat examiner ces motions qui étaient à discuter nous allons aller en plein puis nous savent les Sénat là même qui fait contribution yo ou nous allons passer mais avant ça ou savent Sénat là ni pour bailler contribution yo c'est bagarre là on va discuter ou va changer là venir pour presque 8 millions dollars pour projet chimère tunnel là et ben millénium là qu'on nous a dit en parmi bagaille chimère et puis pont Lanslawe nous aussi tandi pont là ni pour faire dans yon ces morceau vidéo à nous jouer ou va changer pont souci et ben qu'on nous a dit de ça pont ça yo kay vieux reconstruire pont ça et ça qui a fait là ça a trouvé quoi nous une assistance hors gouvernement Japon qui a assisté en parmi l'autre bagaille aussi nous avons une concession là il vient pour ces baouia ça a commencé plus bonheur a commencé depuis le 2e juin qui c'était avant-hier et il commençait pour juste le 31 janvier qui a mis 8 mois encore toutes ces bagailles sont en place pour assister moun qu'on nous vit à sous pied en économie. C'est ça nous avons discuté. Aujourd'hui, discussion, c'est là pas dit moi Jessica continuer about développement là pour faire Covid.
Just piggybacking off of you in terms of the motions that will be debated in the House, the upper house today for today's proceedings. If you're just joining us, a special good morning to you. We're coming to you again for the second time this week, live from the Parliament building in downtown Castries. We're not live from the Information Command Center, and that is because we are on standby for the sitting of the Senate to continue with the order paper that has been laid in Parliament at the start of the week, Tuesday, in the House of Assembly. The discussion, the debate continues with the sitting of the Senate today. 3 loans have been forwarded by the Minister of Finance, the Honorable Prime Minister Alan Chasney. The Millennium Highway and West Coast reconstruction project. St. Lucia is supposed to fulfill its end of the bargain by paying 15% of the total cost of this project. I believe the cost of this project is $99.2 million EC dollars, and St. Lucia has committed and is coming to the Honorable House petitioning for the fulfillment of that end of the bargain by way of taking out a loan to pay for it. So we will be seeing, the Prime Minister has indicated his excitement for this project to begin, especially at this time. We need a stimulation of the economy, and we will be seeing this project coming on stream. I believe the first component is near complete in terms of the preparation, the final design, and right now the Honorable Prime Minister did disclose this week that it was the bids that had been put forward by the contractors were being evaluated this week.
Right.
So hopefully we should be getting some word on how we can proceed into the second component of this project, where we will begin to see the construction aspect, the construction of the roundabout at the cul-de-sac junction, as well as the ancillary, the bridge and ancillary as well. So again, so many, the project is huge. There's so many different aspects to this initiative that will help the sections of the population benefit at this time. We're not just talking about directly the construction aspect, but the individuals who are plying their trade by the road. The government of St. Lucia has indicated that it will be allocating space for persons, for small businesses, persons plying their trade close to the roadside, to ensure that they have some space to comfortably sell their goods, sell their, their services to the general public. And hopefully this project can come on stream at this time, as we have schools not fully reopened, and so there is not this traffic of kids going to school, as well as the tourism sector has not yet recovered from COVID-19. We're just reopening and resuming tourism accommodation services as of today. And so there is a nice window of space, of time, in which this Millennium Highway West Coast reconstruction project can begin to get underway. Also, a loan for the Caribbean Regional Communications Program and the Human Capital Resilience Project. These 3 loans are being will be continued to be discussed in the Honorable House today. We're also seeing the VAT order, and that has been, this motion has also down for consideration, discussing the rate of tax on goods and services provided by hotels and other providers. I'm seeing a rate of 7% tax applying with regard to the supply of an accommodation, a service, a water sports service, a tour conducted by land, air, or sea within St. Lucia that does not include transportation provided by an external provider. The rate of 10% tax applying with regard to a supply of food and beverages, including alcoholic beverages by a restaurant, and admission service to heritage sites and other touristic attractions. And, just to touch on that point a little bit, St. Lucia is opening and resuming its tourism accommodation services, its tourism industry, in a phased approach as well. We're not seeing all of the heritage sites and all of the tours and attractions that did exist prior to COVID-19. They won't be starting all today. It will be done on a phased basis, and we will be seeing if just to give you an indication of the tourist experience, will be from the airport transported to the hotel, and you will be having limited water sports activities,
the buffets
that they will be experiencing at this time. And just to reference the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, she did indicate that this will be further assessed to determine, what gains have been made, how comfortable, every stakeholder is in this whole process, in order to move forward to provide more services to the tourists when they come to St. Lucia. And finally, we have the barrel concessions. The barrel concession has been approved. Well, it has come to the House for approval. It will be further debated here in the Honorable House today. We will see the Honorable Prime Minister did forward the petition to extend the period of the barrel concessions, which we usually see around the holiday time, but extended due to the impact of COVID-19. This financial relief of barrel concession will run from June to January. And the Prime Minister did petition for 2 barrels per household. We did see the MP for Dennery South, for Dennery North, make a petition for this to be 3 barrels per household. The Honorable Minister Edmond Estefan making this petition for 3 barrels per household because of the long period during which this concession program will be running.
Encore, bonjour, merci pour vous qui suivez nous, ou qui écoutez nous sur radio, nous dit bonjour. C'est gens nous sur Facebook, toujours qui participer avec les puis nous dit bonjour bah ou. Encore nous en caille concite, pour ça Sénat là, on caille changer mardi nous joindre ici et puis parlement avec ces membres parlant ces gens parlement qui représenter chaque constituency ici quand chaque bagaille discuter. Parmi eux qui bien tant qu'on juste qui a explanation pour c'est là venu pour l'argent pour chimer tunnel presque 8 millions dollars mais oui tiens ça y est et puis projet ça comme premier ministre n'a pas là au cas savent c'est toute intention gouvernement pour faire assurer yo bail économie anti pousser yo vier dans manière pour mener économie vier à sous pied là venu pour ça au cas savent l'argent ça bien important avec Jessie by explanation ça gouvernement c'est contribution presque 8 millions de dollars ça c'est contribution gouvernement changer nous déjà ni fonds qui était by hot gouvernement l'Angleterre pour assister un projet ça mais contribution gouvernement c'est presque 8 millions de dollars mais oui tiens et ça bien important pour nous observer vidéo et là il vient pour 8 millions presque 8 millions de dollars ça pas veut dire c'est ça projet a coûté à peu près 99 millions de dollars Caraïbes là nous et puis là on savent 15% c'est ça gouvernement tenu pour bail 15% quoi ça c'est contribution gouvernement qui a discuté et puis Sénat là parmi l'autre bagaille qui a discuté. Bien important encore, nous avons une discussion bon matin, et bien aujourd'hui encore, là il vient pour une taxe, là il vient pour ces gens qui sont involvés en affaires tourisme, qui ont une accommodation, service ça, et nous avons une explanation honorable Dominique Fédé, là il vient pour manière ça qui est opéré, et ces gens qui travaillent en sport, c'est pour nous qui ont un service. Ces touristes là ils viennent pour activité globale c'est hôtel là à part de ça nous avons 10% là ils viennent pour manger boire à sous warm c'est restaurant encore ça c'est ces gens qui travaillent en secteur tourisme pour bailler accommodation c'est là nous ouais ça tout ça qui trouvé qu'on discuter aujourd'hui il y en a c'est l'autre bail là nous ouais c'est là il vient pour à peu près 4 millions 4,1 millions de dollars américains. Ça encore qu'à aller pour assister les venus pour international. Il a sorti, excusez-moi, développement association internationale. Il a discuté ça. Ça c'est pour bien changer. Là nous te parler de communication. À présent, chaque bagaille qu'a fait et puis computer sur internet qu'on comprendre les venus pour développer secteur ça l'argent qu'a besoin encore toutes ces bagailles ça sous te suivre te mentionné en budget là qu'on à présent ou ka ouais premier ministre le cabinet qui a venu et qu'a demandé permission pour amasser et bien pour prêter c'est l'argent ça encore presque 4,1 millions de dollars américains. L'argent ça a prêté encore, il a discuté ça bon matin. L'argent ça a prêté les vini pour communication régionale et puis pour mettre bagaille en place pour accommoder ça. Bien important aussi, vous avez nous parler des affaires baouia. À présent, nous avons normalement baoui et puis les vini pour concession à sous baoui, ça a fait tout bon novembre-décembre. Mais à présent, nous avons commencé depuis en juin, le 2e juin, pour le 31 janvier, 8 mois. Et nous avons aussi pas 2, mais 3 baoui à présent. Permission, c'est pour 3 baoui. Quand on a tout ça encore, car les efforts, c'est pour faire assurer moun hen en manière pour vivre, moun hen en manière pour aller devant en dans temps qu'on a présent. Quand tout ça qui est pour place aujourd'hui en Sénat là, qu'on y aura discuté, qu'on nous dit, et nous avons ici à avoir information, qu'on savent développement COVID, headquarters COVID là, aujourd'hui nous en cas qu'on sait qu'à rapporter.
I just want to note, as we've gone through the motions that will be forwarded in today's sitting, the bills for consideration are now only one bill. We saw 3 bills being tabled for consideration, and today it will only be the Labour Amendment Bill. The St. Lucia Tourism Authority Amendment and Tourism Levy bill has been pulled, and just to go back to the statement from the Honourable Prime Minister, Alan Chasney, on his Facebook page this morning, titled "Government Listens to Concerns About the Tourism Levy Bill." After careful consideration, our government has determined that some sections of the Tourism Levy Bill may seem ambiguous, thus giving rise to a certain level of misunderstanding and misinterpretation. Our government is not insensitive to some legitimate concerns that have been expressed in that regard. The Act was always intended to help our small tourism-related businesses and is too important a piece of legislation to be misunderstood. The legislation is intended to complement what we are doing with village tourism, the marketing of our brand, and other destination enhancement programs to further incorporate and provide benefits to small and medium-sized tourism and hospitality businesses. Notwithstanding that this policy initiative has been extensively discussed for the last 3 years, we want to make sure that there's clarity in the intent and language of the legislation. Hence, we have decided to remove it off the order paper for the Senate at this time to allow the opportunity for further review. Our small tourism businesses are a very important sector, and it is therefore equally important to us and them that we get it right, that the legislation meets its objectives and ensures that the bill is a true representation and reflection of the government's policy intentions. That word there coming from the Office of the Prime Minister's Facebook page on the reason for pulling the St. Lucia Tourism Authority Amendment Bill and the Tourism Levy Bill from consideration on the order paper for parliamentary proceedings this week. So that word there from the Prime Minister. Just to let you know, we are on standby for the commencement of Senate sittings this morning, and we do hope you stay tuned for that proceeding. Just want to let you know also, we've been speaking, Carlton, so far about the reopening of our borders, and in addition to the tourists coming to St. Lucia, we also have St. Lucian nationals who are desirous of coming back home. And we want to let you know that, things are being done in a phased approach. And so we have the government of St. Lucia, being very careful with the way in which it takes in its people. So that is the reason for the very stringent measures that have been put in place to ensure that as nationals who are desirous of returning home, desirous of joining our population once again, and being free of all the concerns that are out there in the world with COVID-19 and what have you, that there must be some procedure attached. And in addition to the COVID-19 test, you will be expected to, when you come to St. Lucia, to be placed into institutional quarantining. And this is for the health and safety, of the population of St. Lucia, staving off and reducing any risk of, getting COVID-19, importing COVID-19 again, as we did in months prior. So there are a lot of St. Lucians who wanting to come home, who seem very frustrated with the very stringent measures that are associated with being repatriated to St. Lucia. But it will all be, it's all auguring well for the public. It's auguring well for your families that you're trying to come back home to, and for yourself ultimately. So please take note of that. As we reopen our borders, our St. Lucian nationals can return home, and we do hope that you return home as soon as possible and you come back safe and sound and all is well. But out of an abundance of caution, these very stringent measures need to be taken to ensure the continued health and safety of the population.
Oui, Jesse, quand nous fait chemin nous pour prendre une position, nous avons des membres Sénat l'argent et puis ça nous a dit parmi l'autre bagaille développement et formation qu'on est pour faire bon matin ou qu'ils savent les venir pour yon ces bill là et nous avons parlé spécifiquement pour bill là tourisme nous avons premier ministre Jabay un statement à sous page li parmi bagaille il y a des gouvernements pas les moun mal comprendre Paoli et dit bill ça la tenir en chai observation pour recommandation qui fait pour raison ça ou pas kay bill ça bon matin encore bill là yo couye tourisme levy bill ça ou pas kay yo pas kay discuter premier ministre n'a fait un statement qu'a dit yo ka prendre en considération yo vle moun savent yo sensible là il vini pour siger ça pour un secteur qui quantité important l'autre bagaille lancé ou kay savent bon matin aussi qu'on nous aller devant c'est pas touriste tout seul nous bon nous pour nous kay savent là Saint-Lucien qui a repatrié yo kay vie Saint-Lucien bon nous et puis c'est moun ça quand toi aussi quoi bien important pour ça c'est pas on nous pas dire c'est touriste tout seul qui veut voyager mais qui venir comme bon nous mais nous ni Saint-Lucien qui a repatrié nous ni maman l'école tout ça involvé qu'à vie on est beaucoup prendre l'an bagaille en place pour empêcher 20 si méougé quoi merci tellement qu'on nous fait chemin nous pour faire préparation pour tant discussion en Sénat là.
Thanks for that. And we're just rounding up this morning's COVID-19 response report live from the Parliament building in downtown Castries. Finally, we just want to let you know that tomorrow, Friday, we will be back in studio at the Information Command Center, and joining us will be two executive members of the Bankers Association, the president and the vice president. And they, among other things, will be speaking to us about the increased opening hours. We're seeing things slowly coming back to normal in terms of the banking sector here in St. Lucia. And just to give you some of the opening hours, the RBC Royal Bank and the St. Lucia Mortgage Finance Company Limited will be open from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. noon, Mondays to Fridays, and 8:30 a.m. to 12 noon, Monday to Friday. That's respectively. The First National Bank St. Lucia Limited, the Bank of St. Lucia Limited, CIBC First Caribbean International Bank, Republic Bank EC Limited, Sagicor Finance. They will all be open from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday. The St. Lucia Development Bank will be open 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday to Friday. Financial Investment and Consultancy Services, FIX, will be open from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday to Thursday and 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Friday. Capita Financial Services Inc., 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday to Friday and 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday to Thursday, and 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Friday. And finally, First Citizens Investment Services Limited, the employees continue to work from home and the office will reopen from June 8th, 2020. Please take note of that. We will be having the Bankers Association coming in to speak to us. One is in corporate banking and the other is in commercial banking. So we'll be able to get a wide range of information on how the banking sector is dealing with this COVID-19 tide.
Et puis là, là, il vient pour nous à présent information qui a sorti là, là, il vient pour ces départements financiers là, avec nous, Kaibao information, ça, qu'on nous fait préparation, nous, la majorité, ces gens, c'est l'étranger ici, pour nous, pour un break, avec nous, vie pour changer encore, c'est l'étranger joindre, avec nous, de rester en écoute, et puis nous, vous avez nous, à sur NTN, vous avez nous, et bien, écoutez nous sur radio, Facebook, tout nous a dit merci tellement, nous a vie en un moment.
Absolutely. Do stay tuned. We take you back at 2 studio until the commencement of this Senate sitting.